Hey everyone, this is David. Welcome back behind the velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today because we are joined back by legend and icon, the one, the only. She's here again, Miss Suzanne Somers.
Invited back. That's a good sign.
Suzanne, I think I told you this the last time you were here. You can literally come here every day if you would like to. If Alan will just give me an hour, half an hour, 15 minutes with you every day, you can come any day you want.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
We'll talk. Well, listen, you're an
Fine.
entrepreneur. I'll know, we'll like work something out here.
Yeah.
The last time you were here, I mean, look, we had a conversation. You talked about, this idea you had for a Three's Company reboot with like a John Ritter hologram and Jason Ritter as the child of Chrissy Snow and Jack Tripper. Like that went viral. Like that apparently
Really?
it did. You and I apparently are not the only ones that think that that is a good idea. It went completely viral.
I always thought, because I always get asked, would you ever go back to television? I think I'd go back like that. I didn't finish that character. So, and it would be very interesting to bring John back as a hologram. But Jason is not interested.
He's not interested. I just think, you're going to start hearing, and I know the marketing optics of it we discussed last time are not the same, but I just think you're going to start hearing from actors that are all around that are saying, me, if Jason doesn't want it, look in my direction.
That's a possibility. So tell him to bring it on.
Let's bring it on. Listen, maybe one day he'll come around to it. But
Yeah.
Other things which have changed since you were here last, you and Alan, you have sold the house where this 28 acres where you guys have lived forever in Palm Springs. What prompted this? Like, why now? Why was now the right time to sell the house?
Well, it was 93 acres and it took 12 people to take care of it. So let's start there.
Oh my
I was
God.
there 45 years. I mean, think about it, 45 years. I could not have used that house any better. I had the most incredible parties. I remember, I think, did I tell you about after 9/11 when I invited all those people?
No.
After 9/11, it was one of my significant birthdays. And I wanted to give myself a birthday party, but I thought, oh, feels a little soon. So I waited about a month and I sent out the invitations. I over invited by 50% because I thought half the people are going to say no and they won't want to drive in from LA. Well, everybody said yes. And we're sitting, there was an amphitheater there. Doesn't everybody have an amphitheater? And a dance floor and then a stage. And I had hired Jack Sheldon's band, the band that used to be on the Merv Griffin show. And Merv was there and a lot of my friends were there. And George Slaughter, who produced Laugh-In, said to me, Suzanne, you've got some of the greatest singers in the world sitting around this table. Why don't you get them up there to sing? And I said, oh, I don't want to ask my friends to work on their off days. He said, well, I will. Well, all of a sudden I looked up, Merv Griffin's the master of ceremonies. The first singer is Keely Smith. Remember with Keely Smith and Louis Prima, and she sang that old Black Magic. And then Susan Anton got up and, she's a highly underrated performer. She just kills it when she gets up there. And then Michael Feinstein did a set. And then Robert Goulet got up and sang Man from La Mancha a cappella, banging against the rocks. And I got up and sang, and I know Jack Jones, and there were some others. And then the closer was Barry Manilow got up and sang Weekend in New England, Mandy, and then he ended with Copacabana. And my son is photographing this whole thing. He said, you could have bought this party, Mom. I said, I know. Everyone was so anxious to free themselves of 9/11. That's why they all came. That's why they all wanted to perform. I had many evenings like that in that house, but Alan's wanted to sell it for about 13 years, and I was the problem. And I would say when the realtors would come over, well, it's an old house and things go wrong. And Alan would look at me like, it's crazy. But then last year, this old guy, I had shown it to Josh Flagg, $1 million listing, but he didn't sell it. Independent of him, this old guy comes on the property. And I mean, old, 90 years old, hundreds of stairs and it's a mountain. And he looks at 2 rooms and he said, this is where I want to spend the rest of my life. And I thought, okay, what's left of it? And he bought it. He said, what do you want? He bought it cash. And we had to be out in a month. You have no idea what it's like to move out of a house you've lived in for 45 years, especially when you didn't ever really think you were going to leave. I thought I'd never leave, but I'm not in my own house right now. I'm in a rental because I have a new one we're building that will be finished in August, but I don't. A couple of years I lived there. And also I fell on those hundreds of stairs. I fell waiting for Alan at the top of our bedroom stairs, and there are 50 stairs from the bedroom to the kitchen. And I was standing there waiting for him. He came, and he grabbed my hand, and he uncharacteristically slipped on a boulder, pulled me down on top of him. He didn't get hurt, but I broke my neck, my spine, my hip, and cracked my teeth. So it's been a long year recovering from all that. It was time, you know, we lived, we did it. We did it right. It was time to leave there.
Do you miss it at all? I mean, you know, like more than you thought or less?
You would think I would, and I don't. I think I grew weary of how much care that house took. I do miss, we had a herd of bighorn sheep that would come to our bedroom window in the morning and look in. And the day that we moved out for good, I went out the back door of our bedroom and the sheep were out there. And they came over to us and they stared at us and we stared at them and they stared at us. And I realized they know we're leaving and they came to say goodbye. It was very sad. And when I think of them, I get very emotional. But where we're moving to, well, we have bighorn sheep, so they'll come back. In fact, the house that we're moving to, the previous owner had left a sculpture at the end of a promontory point of a shepherd and a donkey made of cement, and they were, you know, cemented into the ground. Well, a bighorn sheep came down the hill and saw the donkey. The workmen who were there videoed this and went, oh, hello. And the bighorn sheep tried to have his way with her, but being made of cement, she wasn't too receptive. And he ended up knocking her over and killing her.
Oh my God. See, at least you're going to have the sheep though, again, in like your new house.
Yeah. And I love them. They're interesting. You know what, whenever I encounter an animal, I always lower my head so they know I'm not a predator and that I'm not a threat. And I always did that with the sheep. When I come out the back on, you know, on a regular basis, I'd see them and I'd lower my head. They kind of look up like, oh, okay, all right. And we became friends. So yeah, I miss them, but I don't miss the house.